This is your disclaimer and warning. My rankings may piss you off. Now I know what you're sitting there saying, Matt, why do you say that? Great question, my friend. I'd love to answer it. Because the people that have already seen my rankings are pissed off. All I gotta say about it is get your popcorn ready because it's gonna be a lot to take in. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great start to your week. Hope all of you having a great Monday. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man, I got a feeling it's going to be a busy week in the college football world, so stay tuned for all the videos upcoming. However, with that being said, we're not here to talk about any other news in college football world outside of the new rankings have officially come out, and I've also released my rankings. There's a lot to go over. It goes without being said, this is the most highly anticipated rankings video up to date because, well, you had a top 5 matchup, so everybody wants to see where Georgia's going to be at and where's Alabama going to be at. On the contrary, you got to throw in there, Ole Miss lost. How far are they going to fall? Per usual, I haven't seen these rankings, so you're going to get my live reaction. And also, when we get done taking a look at the rankings from the AP poll, I'm going to give you guys my new top 12 teams. And let's just say there is a lot, and I mean a lot of movement. And just like I do every single time I give you my rankings, I'm going to explain why I have each team where, why I dropped them, and why I moved them up. And just like I do every single time we make one of these videos, I'm going to be explaining to you why I have teams where they're at, why I moved them up, or why I moved them down. There's a lot we got to get into, so I say without further ado, let's take a look at these AP rankings, starting out with 25 and working our way up. At 25, oh, what about this? The whole Matthew Sluka situation. They got their new backup quarterback, and he didn't look too shabby. UNLV, they coming in from not ranked to 25th, or tied for 25th with A&M, so congrats to them. Illinois drops after the loss to Penn State. Louisville drops to 22. That's kind of a big fall off considering they only lost by 7, and Boise State goes up 4. Okay, so 21 through 25, no complaints. And you're really never going to see me get worked up when we look at teams from 15 to 25 anyways. 20 through 16, Oklahoma goes up 2 spots. Utah, they drop. They just don't look too good, especially without Cam Rising back there. BYU, they go up to 17, and Iowa State at 16. 15 through 11, okay, we got USC, they go up 2 spots. Ole Miss, they drop from 6 to 12, and LSU, slow but steadily, they're working their way up. Let's get into the juicy stuff, though, what you really care about, the top 10. Coming in at number 10, I don't mind this because they got the head-to-head win. We got Michigan. If Michigan had a quarterback, no offense to Alex Orji, they could be really good. Right now, they're just in that good conversation, but 10, I don't got a problem with it. At number 9, we got Missouri. I'm not as high on them as I was heading into the season because they just haven't looked too good. Miami drops to number 8, and they got really fortunate to win that game over Virginia Tech. I don't think people are going to be mad at that either. At number 7, I don't agree with this. Y'all know how I feel about Penn State. We got Penn State. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Ahead of them going up 2 spots, we got Oregon. And this is the really fascinating stuff. The top 5, and come on, we're all thinking it. And you guys have probably already seen the rankings. I haven't. I got to see where Bama's at. Heading into this, do I think they're going to put Bama at number 1? Historically, the AP voters have really valued beating a top-tier team, even if Alabama's struggling in the second half, and they just value Georgia so much. So I do believe they'll put Bama at 1. You also got to take into account Texas didn't look amazing against Mississippi State, so yeah, I'd say they're probably going to put Bama at 1 if I had to guess or bet my house on it. But it is the AP voters, you're never going to do. But let's talk about Oregon a little bit. I am not as high on Oregon as some other people because, well, y'all remember, right? They struggled with the freaking fighting potato wedges in Idaho and Boise State. You can't just act like those 2 games didn't happen because they did. But at the same time, you also got to look at it from this perspective. Although Oregon hasn't looked great by any stretch of the imagination, they haven't really played anybody. I mean, Boise State's solid, but they're not a serious playoff contender. Who else would you put ahead of Oregon? You don't have too many options. And for me, there is a huge gap from these top 5 teams and everyone behind them. Because although I haven't seen the top 5, I know who's left. Bama, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, and Tennessee. Let's get into it, though, because I got to see it coming in at number 5. Okay, we got Georgia. Ahead of them, we got Tennessee. Interesting. Tennessee is ranked ahead of Georgia. At number 3, we got the little bro, Ohio State. They stay the same. At 2, we got Texas dropping down. And at number 1, like I thought, we got Alabama. Georgia falling behind even Tennessee? I don't know about all that, partner. I don't agree with that, but hey, shout out to Alabama fans. Congratulations, you're back to the number 1 spot. And that's crazy because everyone in the offseason was telling me the dynasty's over. I'll talk more about Alabama when we get to my rankings, and I'd like to assume, maybe you don't, but you kind of value my rankings a little bit more just due to the fact I'm going to explain to you guys why I have each team where they're selected or where I put them. There's AP poll giving you my slight reaction, nothing really too crazy to rant and rave about. There's no really bad rankings in here in my opinion. Let's get into mine though. I drop these rankings every single week on Saturday night. So if you want to see these early, all you gotta do is follow my Twitter. We don't make this video until Monday just due to the fact we're doing the reaction videos all day Saturday, and then Sunday we're doing the recap. This is your disclaimer and warning. My rankings may piss you off. Now I know what you're sitting there saying, Matt, why do you say that? Great question, my friend. I'd love to answer it. Because the people that have already seen my rankings are pissed off. All I gotta say about it is get your popcorn ready because it's gonna be a lot to take in. Starting it out hot at number 12, I got the Penn State Nittany Lions. I've been saying this for the past 5 years on the channel. I guess I will continue to say it. I hate sounding like a broken record player. I don't take Penn State serious. They're irrelevant until they beat Michigan or Ohio State. Me having them at 12 and they went up in my rankings, as you can see from the arrow, is due to the fact there's not many other teams you could put there. I think they're worthy at 12 spot. I also considered putting Clemson there. I got Clemson at 13, but for now I'll give Penn State the edge due to the slightly impressive win over Illinois. At number 11, we got another Big Ten team. I got Michigan. Michigan is Michigan. They're a good football team with not good quarterback play. And me having them at 11 should just go to tell you how great the surrounding cast is. This is how good they are. They're going to finish 8-4, 9-3, maybe 10-2 with not good quarterback play. Kudos to them for that. However, not having good quarterback play eventually will come back to bite you in the butt. At number 10, I got Missouri. This team has been a letdown all year long. They do play Bama this year, so we'll really see what they're made of when they play Bama. But one interesting thing to note about Missouri, I feel like a lot of people don't keep up with them and they're kind of an afterthought in the SEC, is they have one of the easiest schedules in the SEC. So even if they lose to Bama but keep it close, I don't know, you could have an interesting conversation there. There's not too much to say about Missouri all in all because they really haven't played anybody unless you count Boston College, I guess. Moving along here, at number 9, I did drop them. I got USC. If you're sitting here going, Matt, how in the crap do you have USC over Michigan? Well, you're watching the wrong video because I had USC over Michigan last week. I'll give you a short summary. I still believe USC is a better overall football team than Michigan. I don't go by the philosophy just because a team loses, you have to derank them lower than the other team. However, if it's close, yes, absolutely, I give you the head-to-head edge. For example, I'm asking some of you, since Kentucky beat Ole Miss, do you just throw Kentucky ahead of Ole Miss? No. I know Kentucky has 2 losses, but my point still stands. You don't feel like just because Kentucky beat Ole Miss, Kentucky's better than Ole Miss. That's how I feel with USC and Michigan. I'm not saying you gotta like my rankings. I'm just explaining to you my reasoning for them. And that's the beauty of our channel and community. I don't expect you to agree with every single take I have. I'm going to say things that you agree with 100%, and I'm also going to say things where you say, Matt, that's the worst take you've ever had in your life, and that's fine. That's a part of it. If we all agreed on everything, this wouldn't be much of a channel, would it? Moving along here, at number 8, I moved them up 1 spot. I got Oregon. If you're wondering why I moved up Oregon, I just flip-flopped them and USC. Oregon's finally looking a little bit better, so I feel confident in moving them up over USC, and that's the only reason I deranked USC. It had nothing to do with them. I like how USC came out against Wisconsin and just took care of business. They did kind of struggle there in the first half, but they turned it on. I'm not high on Oregon, haven't really played anybody, and I need to see them do it against a legit team. If you weren't pissed off already, get ready to get pissed off now. At number 7, I got Ole Miss. Do y'all remember a couple weeks ago when Georgia barely skimmed past Kentucky? Where did I have Georgia ranked? Number 1. Why did I have them at number 1 still? Because I stated I don't think that was an indictment on Georgia playing a bad football game, because I don't think Georgia played bad that game. They had 0 turnovers, or maybe they had 1, but they didn't have many. It was more so Kentucky is a solid team. People called me crazy. People saying Matt's stupid, and well, here we are. Kentucky goes into Ole Miss and upsets them. Eventually, you just got to come to terms with reality. Kentucky ain't bad. I ain't saying they're really good, but they ain't bad. And I do think less of Ole Miss after that loss, but I don't think they're worse than Oregon. I don't think they're worse than USC, Missouri, Michigan, and Penn State, and that's how I do my rankings. There is a huge gap from the top 5 teams and teams 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If Ole Miss plays Oregon, USC, Missouri, Michigan, Penn State, I'm still picking them to win all those games. I dropped Ole Miss. I'm just not dropping them as far as many other people. If you watch the game, you know Kentucky, the only reason they won is because they got some lucky fumble touchdown at the end, and Ole Miss was driving at the end and missed a game-time field goal. Everybody's immediate reaction when you see a team like Ole Miss lose to Kentucky is, oh yeah, Ole Miss sucks, they're washed up, drop them out of the top 10. That's not my reaction, so I am very content with leaving them at 7. And for the people saying, well, Matt, how is Ole Miss still ahead of Oregon? Dude, I am not rewarding you for playing cupcakes. Speaking of cupcakes, we're going to get to Little Bro State in just a second. I got something for y'all. At number 6, I did drop them down. That's what the red arrow means. And almost every single team in these rankings went up or down. I got Miami. This one goes without being said, didn't play good against Virginia Tech. Got kind of fortunate at the end. That touchdown was overturned. I'm not here to talk about that. I've already talked about it enough. Miami, they win. That's the bottom line. Cam Ward is still one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Winners, they win. They found a way to win. Kudos to them. If you are curious, if Miami would have lost that game against Virginia Tech, I still probably, I would have had them in the top 7. Shoot, man, come to think about it, I might have kept them at 6. And yet again, the Oregon people are going to go crazy. Man, Matt, that's unreal. So if Miami lost, they still would have been ranked ahead of Oregon. And yes, Oregon has been mid. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's get into the top 5, the juicy stuff. At number 5, they did go up in my rankings due to Miami barely winning. I got the Tennessee Volunteers. Nothing to be said there. Nobody's going to be mad at that. At number 4, they did drop a spot. I got Little Bro State. So you know what that means. The top 3 in some shape or form for me is going to be Texas, Georgia, Alabama. That also means you can infer that I have Georgia ahead of Little Bro State. I have a great explanation for it. It's relatively simple, and it wasn't even close for me, if you want the truth. I really didn't think about it too much because there's nothing to think about. And let me just show you my top 3 before we get into that. At number 3, I had a Little Bro State. I got Georgia. And what you're all waiting for, at number 2, I got the Texas Longhorns. And number 1, I got Alabama. Now, for those of you that do not know, you didn't watch some of the other rankings videos, last week I had Alabama at number 7. So that means Alabama in my rankings has jumped up from number 7 to number 1. And for all these nerds that are going to run to the comments and go, here we go, Matt's being biased again. Buddy, I had Alabama at number 7 and 8 the past 3 to 4 weeks. There's no bias here. Absolutely none. Alabama's the best team in the country, and it just so happens that I'm a fan of Alabama. Does that make me biased? No, it's just a coincidence. Let me ask you a question. Who's been the best college football program in the past 15 years? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? Alabama. And I'm an Alabama fan. This isn't some hidden secret. I'm proud to be an Alabama fan. So for the past 15 years, if I were to say Alabama's been the best program in college football, is that bias or a fact? You see what I'm saying? It's just facts. And here's the funny thing. The past couple weeks, I've actually been criticized by Bama fans more than anybody else, telling me, Matt, you're not giving Alabama enough credit. You got to pick a side. So when I rank Alabama lower than other people, it's, oh yeah, Matt's a fake Bama fan. But when I put them at number 1, it's, oh yeah, Matt's biased. Like, what? It's crazy, but hey, feel how you want, say what you want. You have every right to do so. Let me explain to you why Alabama has taken this major jump in my rankings. From 7 to 1, that's low-key insane. The past 2 weeks, well, they had the bye week, but their past 2 games against Wisconsin and Georgia, Alabama has easily looked like the best team in the country. And even after the Wisconsin game, I was hesitant to kind of prop them up a little bit. I couldn't forget about the USF game. I couldn't forget about the Western Kentucky game. I know that some people may be saying, well, Matt, didn't y'all beat Western Kentucky 63-0 and USF 42-16? And yes, we did. However, if you watched the game and watched the film like myself, you would know we didn't look that good, and we made a lot of mistakes. We was also battling some injuries on the offensive line, and finally, heading into Wisconsin and the Georgia game, we were healthy. This team's really coming together, and what I saw against Georgia, there's no doubt in my mind, yeah, Alabama is one of the top teams in the nation. Even if you have, I guess the only argument is Alabama 1 and 2, because nobody's going to argue Ohio State or Georgia being number 1. I don't mind if you have Alabama at 2. We can all agree. Alabama is legit. This whole narrative of, oh, Saban's gone, Alabama's going to crumble like a cookie, it's over, it's donezo. If you're still arguing that in my comment section, you just sound like an idiot. Alabama's back. Now, let me explain to you why I have them over Texas. Because Alabama looks better in Texas. Alabama has the best win in college football, and it's not even close. We're 4 games in, and I'm starting to come to the executive decision that Alabama might have the best offense in the nation, if not the best, top 3 for sure. And they, in my humble opinion, have a top 5, top 6, top 7 defense. Alabama's defense is unreal. Way better than Georgia's defense, by the way. And I believe Georgia has a top 10 defense. And it's really unfortunate Alabama's D is not going to get a lot of credit because Georgia, they had that comeback at the end where they're going for it on all those 4th downs. By the way, fun fact, did you know Georgia was 5 for 5 on 4th downs against Alabama? They couldn't be stopped. Whether it be penalty flags, whatever, they were just converting every single one. And since Georgia was in just full-out desperation mode, and credit them, they made plays, they made it look closer than what that game actually was. But let's not forget about that Alabama defense making Carson Beck, in most people's eyes, the #1 pick in the NFL draft, look like a true freshman quarterback. He was saying ghost. That Alabama defense was just tricking him left and right. They forced 4 turnovers. And another big play in that game was Carson Beck got a grounding call where he got blitzed and just threw it up to nobody. From top to bottom, offense and defense, I don't know how you could say Alabama's not the best team in the country. I could go on and on. For Texas, there's not too much to say because you haven't done anything wrong. It's just more so about Alabama. And I feel like most people kind of knew heading into the Alabama-Georgia game, whoever wins, they're going to be ranked #1, or they should be. I don't think anybody should be mad at Bama being #1 in my rankings or the AP poll. With that being said, let's talk about the other controversial thing. I have Georgia at 3. Where does the AP poll have them again? Let me check. Don't they have them at 5? Yeah, 5, behind Ohio State and Tennessee. So I have Georgia ahead of Tennessee and Ohio State. Reasoning for that is fairly simple. Let me start out with Little Bro State first. You may have or may not have noticed, we are almost halfway through the regular season, and I haven't even talked about Little Bro State. We haven't done a preview, or we haven't mentioned them in a recap. We haven't talked about any drama going on. We haven't even talked about them. Period. The end. And there's a reason for it. You want to know why? No. And there's a reason for it. You ain't played nobody. And guess what? It really doesn't bother me, but as an Ohio State fan, I don't know why you'd be happy with this. I feel like it's disrespectful to your own fan base. I'm asking my Ohio State fans. I know you can't control the Michigan State game, but those first 3 games, were y'all not bored of watching that? I would understand the easy non-conference schedule if you played in the SEC. But you playing the sorry and sucky Big Ten, man. You got to schedule some big boys. And if you want to sit here and say, well, Matt, you always hype up these SEC teams, but in the non-conference, they don't play too many other great teams. And I beg to differ. Look at this. This is why I say it's a sorry and sucky Big Ten. Alabama, who already has a tough schedule this year, one of the hardest in the nation, in their non-conference, they went to a Big Ten team's home field and completely destroyed them. There was people telling me this year Wisconsin was a top 25 team. And what did I tell you? No. I would told you on the offseason I ain't even worried about Wisconsin. It's why I say it's a sorry and sucky Big Ten. You got 2 to 3 good/really good teams, but that's it. The Big Ten is a cakewalk, and if you don't believe me, I'll bring up another example. Wisconsin has always been a top 20 team in the Big Ten almost every single year. I know the past couple years have been rough, but I'm talking about back when Alabama had Derrick Henry, Wisconsin was ranked inside the top 20, and Alabama destroyed them back then. I don't have Ohio State at #4 because I don't think they're good. I have them at #4 because I don't know how good they are. I genuinely don't know. And it's sad to say that 4 games into the season. With that being said, I already know some of my Tennessee fans may be sitting here going, well, Matt, if that's the case, how come we're not ranked ahead of Ohio State? And that is a really good question. It boils down to this for me. Although Tennessee has proven themselves this year, if I had to pick the game tomorrow, I'm picking Ohio State. So that's why they get the edge. So that also means if Georgia and Ohio State play tomorrow, I am picking Georgia. And you got to understand that Georgia has 1 loss this year, and guess who it's to? The now current #1 team in the country. Which means if you lose to the #1 team in the country, you shouldn't fall too far because, oh, wow, that's the #1 team in the country. Many more things I could say. This video has been way too long. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below about that.